Hi, Germany. So what inspired me to write Six of Crows? Honestly, I'm a huge fan of Ocean's 11, which is a heist movie, and I really wanted to write a fantasy heist. I didn't know how challenging it would be, which is probably a good thing, or I might not have attempted it. So, Six of Crows came after the Grisha Trilogy, the Shadow and Bone Trilogy, and if you read that trilogy, you will find that I keep referring to a country called Kerch. And you know, Nina is from Ravka, and so are a number of characters who appear in the Six of Crows duology. Ravka and Kerch are kind of opposites. Ravka has failed to industrialize, it relies heavily on magic to defend itself. It has an army of conscripts. Ketterdam and Kerch existed before I ever started the Six of Crows duology. They are actually mentioned in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, and I was always fascinated by them because in some ways, you know, this is the hub of the world. They're a trading superpower. They are cosmopolitan. People come from all over the world to come to Ketterdam and come to Kerch. And this is where modern finance was really born in the world that I've created. And so I always wanted to visit this city, but I wasn't sure what story belonged there. And then when I got the idea for Six of Crows, I knew instantly that it belonged in this town that would, of course, be the hub of all legal trade, but also the hub of all illegal trade, too. Wow, yeah, so many. Right now, I just finished a book called Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. It's really interesting because it's told in the past tense, and it's a mystery told in the past and in the present, which was structurally something I wanted to look into for a project that I'm working on. But influences, I mean, the big influences I had growing up were probably Madeleine L'Engle, Frank Herbert's Dune, Diana Wynne Jones, who wrote Howl's Moving Castle, Tamora Pierce, and then as I got older, probably Octavia Butler, Patricia Highsmith, and Neil Gaiman. George R.R. Martin was huge for me. I also just read a book by Holly Black called Cruel Prince that I am so passionate about. I loved it so much. I don't know about Inej, but I think Rami Malek, he's an actor from Mr. Robot, would be an amazing Kaz. The heist. I mean, I realize it's a huge part of the story, but there's a point in the story where we start going to like a clockwork, every 15 minutes, where we're shifting between perspectives, and getting that to really work and make sure that there were no logical gaps and that it would still feel fun and emotionally satisfying for each character, because each character really has to overcome a demon of their own in order to get through this. They have to run the gauntlet, essentially. So that heist almost broke me. I did it in a program called Scrivener, I did it in Microsoft Word, I mapped it out on a whiteboard, I did it longhand on a pad, I even put it into my Google Calendar on my phone. So months later, I was getting like notifications that were like, Wyland is on the roof. So it was an incredible challenge. I mean, I love writing banter, I love writing dialogue, so anytime the crew was together, and I will say too, like writing Kaz's backstory was incredibly hard for me. It made me very sad. There's a lot of sad stories in the book, and so when I would come out of something like writing about Inesh's past or Kaz's past, I would basically go and write like 10 pages of Nina and Matthias banter. So as antagonistic as their story is, writing the back and forth between them was always really fun. The world of the Grishaverse I am definitely planning to return to. I have a book of fairy tales that are stories that, the kind of stories that my characters would have heard growing up. There's a story from Kerch, there's a Zemini story, 3 Ravkan stories, a Fjerdan mermaid story. That will be coming out this fall, and it's called The Language of Thorns. And And there's a good chance that I'll return to the Grishaverse again to tell some new tales about some characters you've met before. As for another heist book and another story with a team, never say never. Viel Spaß beim Lesen!